this meeting.
All right. Welcome to the Online Network of Independent Learning Professionals. I am super excited for today. Typically we do a community hour, but today we are going to be talking with Lesley Marquez about TalentLMS. And there's a lot of really good things about TalentLMS. I'm only somewhat familiar with it, but I know that Lesley has used it before, and she's going to be talking about some of the features that small to mid-sized businesses are looking for in a learning management system and how TalentLMS meets those needs. We're also going to have, towards the end of the conversation, after Lesley walks us a little bit through TalentLMS, we're also just going to be opening it up to talk about any LMS that you want to talk about. So if you have some experience with an LMS, we'd love to hear what it is, why you like it, that kind of thing. We're always getting asked by clients, to suggest or recommend, different options. And a lot of us have no idea which option is best or why. So I'm hoping that that is what today's presentation and chat helps us with. I am going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to turn it over to Lesley. Maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself, Lesley, your company, and then we can jump right into your presentation.
Yeah, thanks, Patty. I appreciate you guys having me today. And, I'm always happy to be here and happy to talk about my favorite LMS, because this is something that, especially since COVID, I am living in and day out. And it seems like every day I get a call from somebody else. Hey, we're interested in using TalentLMS. What can you tell me about it? And it just seems to come up so frequently in conversation and in need right now that I thought it would be a great topic to bring to this community. In fact, some of you guys have actually reached out to me about it. So happy to talk to the whole group and happy to have everyone here. If you have any questions at all during this, please feel free to interrupt me. And I'll try to hit some of the main highlights of the LMS. But my name is Lesley. I've been in the field of training and instructional design and e-learning development for getting close to 15 years. Got my start in the higher ed world and then moved through all the different corporate instructional design hats that you could imagine wearing. So I've done everything from facilitating claims processing training in the healthcare industry to working on really slow and process-driven DoD contracts. We all know how that goes. To now I've entered the world of freelancing, and I am just absolutely loving it. I still work with a variety of different industries, still dabble in higher ed a little bit, but I'm able to kind of wear all of those instructional design hats still and bring it all together and really customize learning experiences and learning paths for the different organizations that I work with. So it's great fun. This is the best career. I absolutely love it, as I'm sure all of you do. But again, happy to talk about the LMS side of the business today, since it seems to be a really big need that's coming up right now.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And just wanted to let you know, if you're going to share your screen, Lesley, I will keep a watch on the chat and then let you know if we have questions throughout.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So, just to get things kicked off here, I am curious. Who else has been approached in the freelance world right now about, hey guys, we've got all this training content, but we have nowhere to house it to deliver virtually? Raise your hand if you've had that come up in the past few months. Okay, I see a couple of hands up. So I know there's a bunch of freelancers in this group. I know there's some corporate folks as well. But again, I have just seen this as a huge need. Everything from sales training that used to be presented in a face-to-face format to OSHA training. You've got safety training experts who used to travel across the country to go present at different work sites and to different organizations, and people who are not necessarily as high up on the technical skills. looking for a way to take all of that and put it online so that they don't lose their business altogether during this current crisis that we're facing. So, what's a cost-effective solution? How can we get something up and running very quickly for these folks and get their facilitators comfortable with the solution? Generate some just-in-time resources that make this a little bit more robust than just recording a Zoom call and putting that on a platform. How do we incorporate some of those wonderful adult learning principles that we're all aware of and make an actual learning program out of this? So that's the struggle that I've seen lately. That's really what a lot of my clients have been faced with. And I think that TalentLMS just provides an excellent, affordable, fast to implement solution for that type of a situation. Patty, did you have any questions for me before I go any further?
We don't have any questions just yet. So I say, unless someone has a question and is quick to type it, we will keep on moving.
Okay, feel free to interrupt me anytime. I know I talk kind of fast, so I apologize for that. I am going to share my screen here. I had a PowerPoint, but I am not a regular presenter, so I was struggling to figure out how to have that and then my notes and other links and things that I wanted to talk to you guys about. So I just converted these all to images. I hope you don't mind. But I did take a few screen grabs and I redacted all of my clients' information out of here. So if you see some weird blank spots on the screen, I apologize. But a lot of people ask me, what does it look like? What does the interface look like? How much customization can you do with TalentLMS? So that's one of the topics that I really wanted to hit on today. And, the great thing about TalentLMS is that you don't have to have JavaScript programming skills or CSS skills or be a web developer to really make it look nice. I am none of those things, nor am I a graphic artist, but I was able to put together for my clients a look and a feel that I think really encompasses their business, but keeps it clean and simple and provides a lot of that nice white space for their login screen. So this is just an example of a login screen for TalentLMS. They've updated this recently so that you can add a lot more to the home screen of the LMS prior to login. So you can add external facing announcements. You can add additional sections with imagery. You can even have a video pop up on that home screen. If let's say that you're a course reseller, for example, and you really want to have this awesome marketing video of the CEO and the VP of this or that of your company on that main screen before people log in, you can have all of that here. Additionally, if the courses that you're using are for sale, the prices of those courses would appear right here in the bottom in this little course preview. So these are this bottom row here is what's called featured courses, and TalentLMS allows you to add as many of those as you want. So you can have row upon row of these featured courses with the pricing. And if your revenue model is that they're clicking on those courses and purchasing them, you can link on the back end with Stripe or with PayPal and set those courses up for purchase. The learners can then create their own login and be taken directly to your content. So I think the versatility of being able to use this platform for a corporate type LMS, a course reseller type LMS, or being able to use it for more of that higher ed type learning system that we're used to, it's got features that allow you to do pretty much anything you want. And I've been working with this platform for 4 or 5 years very, very regularly and have not yet come across a case where my client wanted it to do something and I wasn't able to meet that need. So there's always a workaround. Their staff is absolutely phenomenal. Once you get to a certain subscription level, you get what's called, I think it's an assigned expert. I forgot what term they use, but you get a success manager. That's what it is. Sorry. So once you get to that subscription level where you have enough users and you're paying them enough on a monthly subscription that you're getting your success manager, that person is dedicated to you and your instance of TalentLMS. They are available all the time. You can jump on a call with them, you can screen share with them, and they will work tirelessly to help you resolve any issues that you're having. Or let's say that you have a specific use case and you're trying to work through in your brain, what's the best way to set this up? What's the best way to go about getting reporting features and everything that I want to work? They'll help you walk through how to wireframe that, what it looks like, and then how to set it up from the admin side. So they're really helpful folks. I really enjoy working with them. But again, talking about customization, this is kind of some of what you can do with that. Oops. Sorry about that. I thought it would allow me to move on to my next image. There we go.
No
so
worries.
This is another client. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just said no worries.
Technical snafus here. Anyways, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. So this is just showing you a little bit of a different setup. So this is a completely different client. You can see at the top, they've got their logo, which I've redacted a portion of. They've got a home page. They've got a course catalog. They've got a sign up. So let's say that you're not someone who's already in their system and you want to sign up for that. There's a separate link just based on the way that they have theirs set up. If you want to review their entire course catalog before you commit to a subscription to their site, you can open that course catalog link and review that. They also have an external facing message. So that first little block that you see, that's one of the external messages. And then, so theirs is a little bit different. They have their featured courses at the bottom in a particular row. And, you know, of course, it's branded to their color scheme, their design style, et cetera, et cetera. The other thing I like about some of the customization features is that it's just so easy to white label. I'm not a web developer. I don't have that skill set, but I've been able to directly link clients' URLs to TalentLMS and get a custom domain set up for them. So, you know, that's something that I recommend in a lot of cases for my clients to do is go out and purchase a separate domain for your LMS. And instead of using TalentLMS's default domain, let's set up your own. So, you know, salesorglearning.com, whatever that's going to be. And we can link the two so that your URL is what's being used instead of the TalentLMS URL. So that's another feature that is very simple to do. It doesn't take long. It doesn't take a huge skill set, and you get great support working through that process if you do run into any snags. The only issue I've had is I would say purchase your domain from one of the main providers. So go with your GoDaddy, go with your, you know, whatever company is going to be one of those main providers that they work with, because then you're going to have the more up-to-date documentation versus if you're trying to use one of those cut rate domain purchasing companies. I mean, come on, guys, it's $10. Who cares? Anyways, so on to the next topic. This is one of my favorite features of TalentLMS. It is called branching. And has anyone here ever heard of branching before, or multi-tenancy when it comes to an LMS?
Yep.
Okay, so I got a few yeses, but I'm assuming that most people haven't. And that's because a lot of learning management systems out there charge out the wazoo to have additional tenants. So what it is think of your main LMS portal as your main domain, okay? That is your home base. That's where the majority of your content lives. And that's where you have all of your admin features in one spot. But let's say that you're a large organization and you have a lot of different departments within your organization that may need the ability to control their own content, to control their own reporting, and have separate administrators just for those departments. So that's one use case scenario where you may want each of those departments to have a separate tenant, or think of it as a separate mini LMS that's all their own. What TalentLMS does is when you create one of these tenants or branches, it will create a subdomain. So you have a separate URL that those folks would use to access their branch of the LMS. You can assign an administrator just to that branch. So let's say that your department head, or let's say that you have a departmental administrator who's in charge of that. That person can pull custom reports. They can add custom content. They can schedule custom events just for their branch of users without affecting the rest of the organization. So what's a different application for that? Let's say that you are a safety training organization, okay? You want to use your LMS for internal training, but you also resell your safety training courses. So how do you offer a package to your clients where they have a custom portal, where they can have a custom area for their supervisors to come in and pull reports just for their folks, and they can have a custom learning path, all these other features that would just be their own? Let's set up a branch for that use case. So again, your main domain would be the safety training organization. They could house their internal folks on a branch that would just be the internal training. And then each one of their clients that they're reselling programs to. And again, this is not just selling one course at a time. This would be selling an entire course of study, so an entire program of courses to a client. They can have a custom branded portal, their own unique URL. They can have their own portal admin. They can have their own customized reporting, and they are completely separate from all of your other clients. You can restrict the number of seats. So let's say that you sold this as a package with other things in it as well, and you sent them an invoice through your, QuickBooks or whatever it was. You sold 50 seats. So how do you make sure that you're not getting any more than 50 people registered for this LMS? You can restrict that to the number of users. So this option right here, restrict registration to X users, you just input that amount, and then they create their own signups. They go in, they have their own access. It's up to them, but they're capped at 50 users. So I could talk about branches all day long because it's a feature that I use a lot. It's something that I find really helps to keep things organized and siloed, but in a very good use of that term. I know that's a term that we typically think of as a very negative thing, but when it comes to an LMS and larger organizations and departments and multiple clients, I think that it's a useful term to have, is siloing them apart from one another. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, and again, this kind of goes into the branch features a little bit more, but it's also a really important feature, even if you're just using a single instance of the main domain and you haven't branched out at all. And that's the custom reports. So reporting, I think, is a huge value add for any LMS. And when you're reviewing and analyzing which LMS you're going to recommend to a client, or if you're in charge of making that decision, one of the biggest things that I tell people to look at is their reporting capabilities. Do you have the ability to customize your reports to see the data that you need? And what are those features that you can customize and report on? Is it just standard reports? You get these different 10. I know a lot of people complain about that with some of the other competitor LMSs on the market, and that's a big turnoff. So with TalentLMS, you get custom reports after a certain subscription level. And I feel like they're very robust. So far, the only issue that I've had is that they don't calculate program percentage completion. But I think that that's something that TalentLMS is working on, and they do have an infographic view that if you're logged into the LMS, it does calculate some engagement percentages and participation percentages and other things that give you metrics that allow you to work around that. And it's a simple formula to add into an Excel table if you use the reporting that they have. So if that's a concern, I just recommend that, you find a workaround for it. But again, most people that I've dealt with have not had a big problem with it. So looking at custom reports and some of the things that you can do. So first you want to select, is the report about a user or is this about learning progress? Most of the times I'm going to select learning progress because I want to see, I use branching a lot, and I feel like that's getting me the most accurate reporting features that I need. So I'm going to select learning progress, and then you define your rules. So are we creating a report that is about a particular branch? And then perhaps if that branch is in a client use case scenario, does that branch have groups within it? So maybe for that particular client, they had a few different departments whose managers wanted to report just on their group of employees. So maybe you set up a group within that branch for each of those employees. So you want to select a rule, they belong to a branch, and then a second rule, they belong to this group. So then it's going to allow you to select the output. So there's a lot of different things that you can select with the output. Obviously, you're going to want to know the user's name. You can look at when was the last date that they logged in. You can look at when they completed a course. You can look at the date that they were enrolled, how much time they've spent on a particular course. There's tons of different features, and I just wanted to highlight custom reports as something that I feel that TalentLMS really excels with. Any questions so far?
I have a question on reports, Lesley.
Hey, Dawn, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Doing well.
So yeah, Lesley's a big reason why I use TalentLMS, and she's been a great help to getting me up and running. My question is on custom reports where I've had an issue where, is it that you have to be on a certain subscription level? Because the reports that I run are in the format of an Excel spreadsheet.
Yes. So with custom reports, and I'm just looking right now at the billing. Whoops, I'm sorry. I didn't have this handy. I'm sorry, Dawn.
No, that's okay. I'm at the highest tier for subscription.
Okay. Yep. So you get custom reports starting at the plus level plans.
Yeah. Okay.
And custom reports, one thing to note is if you do have branches set up and you're logging into a branch, you're not going to see the custom reports show up. You have to log into your main domain to see the custom reports feature.
Okay. And does it come out like an infographic? Is that, because I may have come across them?
No, it does not. So that's a great question. So when you do a custom report, it's going to come up with an instant that report when you click run. Okay. So then at the top right of your screen, you're going to see a little green button that says export to Excel. There's also a drop down there that has another great feature that I really love, and that is the ability to schedule those reports. So let's say that you're a manager of one of those department groups that wants to see the learner's progress on a weekly basis. You can use that drop down to come in and manually print it out to Excel, or you can schedule that to be delivered to your inbox as an Excel file every Friday. Or, if you only want to see it once a month, you can schedule it for every 4 weeks, however you want to do it. But there's the feature there to schedule those reports to just automatically be delivered to your email.
Okay, but it'll always be an Excel file.
That's correct. There's again, the instant visual. When you're in TalentLMS, you'll see all of those fields populated as a visual within the platform, but then you can export to Excel.
Okay.
I don't believe that there are other export abilities if you can do a CSV file, which is also Excel, but yeah, I think the default is just a basic Excel file.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So let's see, what else did I have? So there's another separate feature from automating a report to be sent, and that's called automations. And the automations are really cool because this is one of a few ways that you can set up learning paths on the LMS. One of the things that I will say that I don't particularly care for about TalentLMS is that, again, I come from that higher ed background. So I'm used to being able to schedule something to start on a certain date and have an end date based on a calendar. That's not their design. That was not in the scope when they originally developed TalentLMS. They wanted it to be learner-centered design. They wanted it to be focused on creating, personalized learning paths and things. And so it's very much set up from that viewpoint. And I know it's a feature request that's been out there for a while to be able to do things by calendar date, but not everything is able to be released in a learning path by calendar date yet. So what's the workaround to that? One of the workarounds that I've used is these automations. And so I think that automations happen also at the plus level subscription. I'm glad I left that open because now I'm able to see that. But automations also happen at that plus level subscription. And one thing that you can use them for is, so let's say that you want, I'm sorry, I got a hair in my eye here. Let's say that you want learners to take a particular path of courses and you want them to be structured so that they're not getting overwhelmed, but you'd like to release those maybe 2 courses a month spread out by 15 days. What you can do with these automations is you can say, assign course Z 15 days after assigning course X. Or let's say that you want to require them to complete that course first and not just give them everything as available. You can assign it based on completion. If you're using a learning path for remediation, for example, you can assign it based on a course failure. So if they didn't pass this course, then maybe you've determined that signifies that they need to go back then and relearn this topic. You can automatically assign a different course to help them with some of that remediation. There are a ton of different options for creating these automations, and you can have unlimited automations. They can really just help with your workflow. And then you set it up once, it's done. You don't have to think about it again. So I absolutely love automations. And along with automations comes notifications, because of course we want to alert people that they have a new course, or we want to alert them that their certificate is getting ready to expire. So I know that there's a lot of compliance courses out there and a lot of compliance training that, those course certificates are only going to be good for a set period of time. Well, TalentLMS has this awesome feature where they will allow you to set when that course certificate expires and start alerting your learners a set period of time ahead of that expiration. And you can even automatically reassign that course to them to ensure that they are getting every push notification possible to go back in and complete that course before their certification expires. So I think that's one of those really valuable features, again, that helps to allow you to set it and forget it almost. So when you create those notifications and things in the initial setup of your LMS and in your initial creation of these learning paths, it takes you as the administrator out of the picture and allows the LMS to do the work for you. But yeah, so I want to leave this up on the screen for a minute if you guys can see it, because there's a lot of different notifications that you can use that are really helpful. One of the ones that department managers and company heads of companies tend to like a lot is they want to implement a notification that, okay, we've registered 1,000 people onto this platform. I want them to get a notification if they haven't logged in the first 10 days. So we want to ping them with a reminder. Hey guys, you've got access to this platform, but you haven't logged in yet. You need to get in there because you got to complete this training by the end of the month. So all of that's customizable. And again, those messages and things, you can add different automated fields. So let's say you want to customize it and say, hello, Sam. It allows you to populate those automatic fields and create a custom message that goes along with that notification. You can even include images and your company logo and embed your signature. Anything that you want to do, you can customize those messages, and again, all automated.
So we do have a question here, Lesley.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, Carrie is wondering what kind of files can be uploaded and assigned, like PDF, Word, Docs, Excel, Swarm, that kind of thing.
So in the notifications, I'm not really sure what can be uploaded, but as far as content creation, it handles SCORM packages really well. So I mostly develop in Camtasia, Rise, and Storyline, and it handles SCORM packages beautifully. For Rise courses, I typically like to resize and blow those out pretty wide just to get the optimal view. So, it allows you to resize those, which is beautiful. It takes video files, PDF documents, Word documents, and they have a pretty cool conversion tool. So I will send you a link after this. I'll follow up with a link to what types of files. But if you want to look, I'm going to put this in the chat really quick because I have it open.
Okay.
I've got their knowledge base open. So I'm just going to throw a link in there to their knowledge base. And I am sure that if you just pop in files in the search, it will come up with a list of what types of files it accepts. But I've thrown everything I can at it, and so far I haven't had any problem. Now, there is a size limit constraint that if you work a lot with videos, like, for example, one of my clients really likes to record PowerPoints with videos embedded and convert those to a video and put those on the LMS and call them webinars. Anyways, so the issue that I've run into with those is I'm having to compress them quite a bit or cut them into multiple parts because I'm limited to 600 megabytes of file size on videos. And so most of the times you won't approach that with most instructional design use cases, but with some videos that tend to run maybe 45 minutes, an hour or longer, you may need to break those apart or figure out a compression method that works for you. But the alternative is always to set up a YouTube account or Vimeo, and then you can just embed or link to that. So again, there's always a workaround for any issue, but I'm hoping that answered your question.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, and then Parker was wondering about if it accepts custom HTML5 courses instead of the ones that you use like export in a rapid authoring tool. Might be that you just have to look in that database she sent you, unless you know anything about that, Lesley, custom ones.
Yeah, and I can look into that. So are you talking about something like H5P or something that a developer would create?
Yeah. I mean, I may have talked to you about another application for high res. It's all in HTML5. So it'll be a URL. Does it do like iframe, for example? Can you embed?
I believe so. Let me, you know what? I'm actually going to log in really quick just because I want to see this for my knowledge, but I believe it does allow for iframes.
Yeah, another workaround would be embed it as a web object storyline, and then just bring storyline in, I think.
Yeah, that would work.
Yep. So you can do video, audio, presentation, or documents, SCORM, XAPI, CMI5, iframes. It has its own test creation engine that has a couple of different options. Usually it's plenty to get around anything that you would need, and you can create test banks, anything like that. The assignment engine. So if you're using this in a higher ed type environment where you really need a robust assignment engine, I'm kind of iffy on it. But again, in the corporate world and in the consulting world, I haven't used assignments a whole lot. And for what I've needed it for, it's been enough. You can schedule instructor-led training, so it integrates with all of the big meeting platforms and their native integrations, so you don't have to set up anything on the back end with that. So, your Zooms, WebEx, anything like that, it integrates with it. You can set up calendar sharing, all of that within the platform. So yeah, I think that your iframe would probably be your best bet, Parker, on that one.
Cool. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Let's see. So after notifications, I think that was really the last topic that I had to cover. Tracking progress and reporting, huge feature. Again, being able to use branching, anything you can throw at it, it can handle. And again, the price per user per month for this platform, and the fact that you don't have to pay that initial setup fee because you're doing the setup yourself. So like if you were to go with a Canvas or a Blackboard or Docebo, I think some of the other platforms that are out there require you to pay a setup fee that's in the tens of thousands of dollars in most cases because they have a minimum user requirement. With TalentLMS, you don't pay that. You have a monthly subscription fee or an annual subscription fee based on what model you choose. And that's what you pay. It's transparent pricing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. What you pay for is what you get. So I know my clients love that. They have found that it is one of the most affordable LMSs on the market that's cloud hosted, that does everything that they need to do. So I am going to stop sharing my screen now and stop talking and let everybody ask their questions and open the floor for discussion.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Lesley. This was a really great presentation. And I really loved how you showed like all the different, customizable options. The fact that, this can be used for, paid courses, paid curriculums, non-paid. I mean, just so many, variety of things. So thanks so much. Really great.
Most welcome.
And they do have a free version if you've not tried Talent LMS and you want to like just, poke around in there. They do have a free version you could test out. But yeah, what questions do people have? And also, if we'll also open it up into other LMS things. So if you want to bat around other LMS topics or ones that you've used that you like for certain reasons, maybe Hack first if you have anything, because this was your idea. So
sure, yeah, Lesley, thanks for all the info. I appreciate it. I'm sure everybody else does as well. Yeah, as a matter of fact, the company I'm talking to now uses Talent LMS, and it's like, yes, I know of it, and just wait till tomorrow, and Lesley will tell me everything about it. So that's good. I also, in my research and looking for one of my clients, ran into something called Accord LMS, and I just wanted to see if anybody had any experience. I only know one person who has, and he really liked it. And when I talked with the sales rep there, they're doing a good job of, staying engaged and, giving me information when I need it, et cetera. I just want to see if anybody had any practical experience with it.
anyone used Accord?
All right.
Looks like he's the only person. No, you might put it in the Slack, but yeah.
John, one thing I will say with some of the smaller or lesser known name LMSs out there, when I've vetted those for clients of mine, one thing that I notice is that they want to sell you a custom setup. So they want to create those features for you as you request them versus just having them as part of their standard platform. And it's an opportunity for them to upcharge. So that's one thing that I would say, if it's a lesser known system, watch out for that, because they will try and nickel and dime you every chance they get.
Yeah, I noticed they do have, I don't remember it now, but there is a kind of the standard, setup fee of $1,000 or whatever it is. And by the time you add all those up, you're talking $5 or $6 grand worth of various fees to get it customized, et cetera, et cetera. Some of those are mandatory. I don't know that all of them are, but some of them are. I'll just have to dig a little more deeply into that.
Yeah. Well, we did have one question too, Lesley, from Carrie, as far as we talked a little bit about the pros of Talent LMS over Blackboard or Canvas or, some of the higher ed stuff. Do you know if there are any cons of Talent LMS compared to Blackboard or Canvas or the more higher ed platforms?
Yeah, so honestly, if you're in a higher ed setting, it's going to depend on the number of users. So when I mentioned that I've used it in a higher ed setting before, it was for a continuing education certificate program in the medical industry that was very small scale. So we're talking, under 1,000 users per year. If you're a large scale university or, community college, something of that nature, even a trade school that's going to have more than 1,500 to 2,000 users a year, you're going to probably want to go with one of those higher ed platforms. Again, my top recommendations for those would be Blackboard or Canvas. I absolutely love those. And there's someone I've worked with in the past on this call who I'm sure would agree with me on that. But those are really going to give you more of the features that you need, especially from the perspective of an instructor managing their class, having control over content, and so on and so forth. So I definitely think that you probably want to stick with a higher ed specific LMS if that's the market that you're in.
Awesome. Got a thumbs up. And then I know Jerzen has used SuccessFactors LMS. I don't know how that compares to Talent LMS, but
Yeah,
another
so
one.
I've worked with success factors too. Larger scale, again, if you're a larger organization where, let's say, integrations are really key for you and you want to integrate with your HR systems or some other systems within your organization, I think success factors, while it's not one of my favorite corporate LMSs, it does a good job of giving you some of those integrations and is a much larger scale platform that I think a lot of bigger corporations use on a regular basis. So again, my target market is really small to mid-sized businesses with Talent LMS. That's who I see using it, but I know that they scale. So, it really just depends on the use case, I guess.
Yeah. A lot of my clients use Wisetail. They use it for the social. There's evidently a big social aspect to that one. I don't care to get involved with it, so they try to ask me to help. I'm like, you should probably find someone else. But I know a little bit about it. So, oh, and you're on mute there, Lesley.
Oops, sorry. I thought I clicked on mute.
No
Sorry. Wisetail's a new one to me, and I haven't really dealt much with the social learning aspect yet. I will say this. So I talked a few times about working with certificate programs. One of the things that Talent LMS recently did was they allowed for certificates to be shared on LinkedIn. So I think that's a common feature that, if you're using a Credible or Credly or any of those things to create certificate programs, they're all allowing you to generate that certificate and put it on your LinkedIn profile. Well, Talent LMS does that with their certificates now too. So if that's the type of program that you're working with, it may not be necessary for you to go and pay one of those outside vendors to set that up for you and have the criteria for accreditation. You should be able to do all of that stuff right within the platform and then share it on your social resource. You can also do signups from social media, but again, the social learning thing, I'm not big on that. I'm not very well versed on it, to be honest, but I know it does have some integrations with, like you can do Facebook signups and things like that for course resellers.
Hey, Patty.
Pat, did you have something? Yeah.
Sorry, I had another question real quick. So I've been doing some work for one of my clients and using Totara, and I don't know who all's familiar with it, but it's basically, built on a Moodle foundation. But the service provider my client is using is also recommending they take a look at Moodle Workplace, which I have not taken a look at. But if anybody has any 2 cents on that, I'd love to hear it.
Great. Moodle Workplace. Yeah, Lesley.
So I have 2 cents on open source. Open source does not equal free. So just putting that out there. And I love Moodle. I've worked with it in the past, but it's quirky. So if anyone has experience with that particular wing of Moodle, I'd love to hear it. But Moodle does require, and other open source platforms like edX, for example, that's another platform that came out on the market. It's open source. It's got some great features, great integrations. But again, you need a team of full-time developers to set that up for you. And you have to host it, or you have to pay for hosting solutions. So there are a lot of things to consider when you're using an open source platform that may make it just as expensive, if not more expensive, than some of the for cost cloud hosted platforms.
Yeah, I'm partnered with a company that does the cloud hosting for Moodle Workplace, and Totara. And it's been great because they handle all the back-end development, updating, all of that stuff. And and I do all the kind of everyday management for my client. But then when something needs to be integrated or something that's beyond my skill set and my permissions ability as well, I just open up a ticket and boom, they take care of it. And supposedly, even though I haven't seen it yet, Moodle Workplace has done a better job at designing the solution for enterprise customers. So I guess I'll have to take a look at it and find out. But
and then maybe we'll have a presentation on Moodle Workplace by Hack.
I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear it.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
That's right. Yeah.
Knowledge. Any other questions or just comments about any type of LMS? One thing I want to mention, LMS, the WiseTel one that I was talking about, if you ever have a client who like they do stuff where like users can share content like videos and photos and discuss and do like collaborations and things. So just in case you're ever looking for something where people can like get in there and do stuff together, that's WiseTel.
So whenever I hear an explanation of social learning, it takes me back to the days of, does anyone remember Second Life?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so that was one of my favorite social learning platforms that came about sometime in the 2000s, and everybody tried it, but it never really hit it off. VoiceThread. So that's a program that has been integrated with, I've seen it in Moodle, Blackboard, Canvas, using VoiceThread for sharing videos, sharing of audios and things like that. But again, that's mainly in the higher ed world. I don't know, Carrie, maybe you've seen that if you work in higher ed. But I'm going to check out this WiseTel, Patty. This is intriguing.
Yeah, one of my freelance friends, actually, we were working together with a client, and they wanted to use WiseTel, and they wanted us both to like go. Where is it? It's located out of Utah, I think. Anyway, they went to like this big nice resort and learned all about WiseTel. I didn't want to go. I don't want to do stuff like that. But he said it was amazing, and he learned it. He said it's an incredible LMS. So you take that for what it's worth. Somebody that I know says it's great. I don't know.
Definitely gonna check it out.
Yeah. Don said VoiceThread is costly now.
Oh man.
I was looking it up.
Yeah, I had to stop using it in education.
That's interesting, Dawn. I didn't know that they had a price increase on that.
Yeah, I used to use it for free, so the university didn't support it, but some universities I taught at did, and then they eliminated it. Flipgrid is something that K through 12 uses now, and it's a replacement for VoiceThread. It's not as I don't know if the college students would be as into it because it's pretty simplistic platform, but it'll do the job.
That's awesome. Flipgrid.
They do have VoiceThread for business. I don't know what the difference is. I'm just looking it up, but I don't see pricing anywhere on their website. If it's on there, you have to contact them. I think. I don't know. Carrie's asking if it's possible to list some of the names of other LMS options. Yeah, so we can just type them in here. So WiseTel. Of course, that's all I remember now. That's the one I said.
Then we have
type it in there.
There's Totara. I think SuccessFactors, which again, that's your large scale corporate. Blackboard and Canvas, those are going to be higher ed LMSs. Moodle, of course. Docebo is one. Again, they're really expensive. Gosh, they're pricey. Man, I'm trying to think of who else. LearnUpon. I know that's probably more targeted towards course resellers, but LearnUpon's one that I've heard good things about. OpenEdX. Maybe you want to add that one to the list. Another open source. Is this giving you a good list there, Carrie?
And it's good to know which one sucks. Thanks, Hack. Let's make a list of the sucky ones. Avoid. Awesome. Thanks, Parker. Parker gave a list of the top LMS providers reviews.
Yeah, they do that all
helpful.
the time. So you can do a search. It's actually pretty good. I like it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, that was a really good review. Thanks so much, Lesley. And the crazy thing is my computer even like restarted in the middle of this and it kept the meeting going. So that's just good to know if you're the host of a Zoom meeting and your computer restarts, my nightmare was that I get back and everybody's gone, but look, what a miracle. So technology is getting better.
That's great.
Awesome. Yeah, it is great. Cool. Well, thanks so much. Have a wonderful rest of the week, you guys. We'll go ahead and conclude here. We will be meeting on the first Thursday of March, which will be March 4th. That is our next meeting. So we will see you then. Otherwise, we'll be on Slack if you have any other LMS questions. And I will post this video later today as soon as it's uploaded. But let's do it all. Thank you so much, Lesley. Chat love to Lesley. Have a wonderful rest of the day, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.